congregationally together. So feel free as you hear the music to move your body, sway along, sing inside your heart. And it is just good to be together.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. Whether you're here in our beautiful sanctuary or watching from home on this wintry morning, my name is Gail Curran, and I serve on the Board of Trustees. I'm very happy to be back inside the church with all of you. Unitarian Universalism, is a faith that believes great good comes from wide diversity. So, whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your heritage, your beliefs, your background, or your abilities, we are very glad that you are joining us this morning for what looks to be a truly wonderful service. Please join us after the service for coffee hour on Zoom or for time to say hello and chat on the entrance ramp outside.
Our call to worship this morning comes from our colleague Katie Romano Griffin, who serves at Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church just over the river. Come, let us enter into this space of hope and community. Come, let us enter this space with our sorrows, our joys, our passion and compassion. Come, let us enter this space with the stories of our ancestors, for their strength and wisdom beats in our hearts. Come into this space, present to the beloved companions who move beside us. Come into this space, mindful that together we are building a future for other generations. Come into this space and let us worship.
A Black History Month moment. Black life is, Black history is, Black culture is important. This month, this February, let us hold up the accomplishments, the stories, and the contributions that Black people of all genders have made to the United States. Let's honor those people, our siblings of spirit, of blood, of hope and bone. Let's also, though, dream of a new way of accepting, learning, and showing compassion for ourselves, our families, and our entire community. You see, Black History Month is an opportunity to challenge the persistent tendency to teach Black history as a footnote of American history. Let us commit ourselves to telling the complete story of our vibrant African American culture to our families, to our friends, and most importantly, to our children. Our congregation has made a decision to focus on remembering, affirming, and celebrating the accomplishments of African Americans this month. We're going to lean into our commitment to build the beloved community. We're going to practice some open listening. We're going to delve deeply into the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We're also going to do some fun activities. Come, join an activity, take a class, walk the labyrinth, donate to help Afghan refugee families, attend a Sunday service like this one. Let your body be open to the music and the words of African Americans. We're going to have the voices of Black people centered in our services. Why? Black history is American history. This month, let's experience some of that history side by side together. And now our chalice lighting, words you are familiar with, and a ritual that is practiced across the country with other UU congregations. We gather together as a community of memory and hope. We celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. Please join me. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and warmth to the world. Oh, we have a really special wisdom lesson this morning. MJ Park is going to deliver an amazing lesson. Please come forward, MJ.
Right. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It is so good to be here in this holy sanctuary, surrounded by nature and feeling the light and love from everyone. So I'd like to also say hello to those who are watching from home. And Jerry and I are so glad to be back. This is a special place for us where we've been doing Peace Camp for the last 20 plus years. And it's like coming home, and that's a good feeling. We've formed a lot of special relationships here that are dear to our heart. So as we join you this morning and share a little bit of stories that have helped shape our journey. I'd also like to thank Reverend Amanda for inviting us to be part of this Sunday that's focusing on justice is what love looks like. For those who don't know me, I'm MJ Park, married to Jerry, and we are parents of 6 children. We are also the founders and directors of Little Friends for Peace. And my wisdom story today is going to be referencing a few songs. I'm not a singer, that's not my gift. So I will just be making reference and trying to maybe sing a little of it. One song that I've been singing a lot lately, I find myself singing, is Cat Stevens' Peace Train song. Because as I look at this awesome, beautiful world that I love, I have been crying lately, thinking about the world that it is. But I have been smiling lately, thinking about the world that could be. And so as I think about that, I think about my journey as a teacher. I taught social studies for a number of years and met Jerry, who's a former Peace Corps in India, and we found ourselves talking about what was breaking our peace, and that was the treatment of this beautiful world and of people. I found myself feeling just pulled down, brokenhearted at the violence. I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, and I went to a lot of social justice movements with my mom. I'm one of 8. And we marched with Dr. King, and it was so much a part of my being. But then when I was in the schools and losing people to gun violence as a teacher, I thought, this can't be. And then when we gave birth to our first child, and I experienced that beauty, that rainbow, that love deep in my heart, I felt, wow, this is the way it should be for everyone. And as I marched and went to vigils, my dad said, MJ, what do you want? And I said, Dad, you know I want peace. And he said, well, what are you going to do to make it happen? And that was the turning point. And that was the birth of Little Friends for Peace. Because I said, you're right. If we want peace, we have to start teaching peace. So Little Friends for Peace started with Peace Camp. And we were welcomed here at UUCA. And the seed's been growing. And now we have young leaders. Jason and Savannah, could you raise your hand? Maybe even stand up, because these are two of our peace campers that have come since they were little. And now they're being the voice of peace. They are planting the seeds. So one of my activities that I'd like to ask you to just participate for a couple of minutes is, as you look at the world and think of the beauty and the peace that it brings you, what are some of those things that fill your heart as you look at it? I know what fills me is relationships. Wherever we go to do peace camps or peace circles, Friday I was virtually in the jail in Alexandria, and my heart's different now. When I went to a peace club in Alexandria, and one of the girls said, Miss MJ, why aren't people more kind? And I said, we got to work at that. And so when you look at it, what is something that brings your heart to peace? Anybody want to say one? Yes. Children, okay. Yes. Nature. We had one over here. Natural beauty, okay. Ah, okay, great. Yes. What was it? Engagement, okay. All right. So we could go on with the list. This is an activity we do as part of our peace circles, is to go inward and to think about what is it that brings me peace and grounds me. And as you look at this world right now, what is breaking your peace? What is, hurting your heart, pulling at your heart? Violence, okay? Anger, all right? Racism, okay? Fear, okay? Hunger. Greed, okay? Yes. Division. Yes. Misunderstanding, okay? Misinformation. So we could go on. We have lots of things that are breaking our peace. So when I think of what drove me to start the peace camp, it was those things. As I taught school, and I thought, wow, what can we do to heal the world? Remember that song, Heal the World, make it a better place for you and me and for everyone. And so I remember, we have to teach peace. So I went out looking for a peace teacher, a job. But there was no ad peace teacher wanted. So I thought, I got to create that position. So that's why we started LFFP2, was to, make peace something that we talk about, we work at, and we try to find those solutions. Right now, the chief of police in DC, at one of those breaking news that broke our hearts of another gun violence. He said, "Why am I in front of another school announcing that another one of our students has been shot?" And he said, "We need to teach peace." So I called him up. This was a couple of months ago after I heard it. And I said, "I'm so glad to hear you say that we need to, intervene. We need to be violence interrupters." And he said, "I'd like to meet with you." So I think this morning, as we come together in this holy place, we have an opportunity to kind of go inward and think of our calling and how we can help make this world a better place. So I'd like to invite you into a campaign that's going to need our whole body, our mind, and our spirit. And it was motivated by this man. Jared, do you want to hold it up? As I have studied peace in an intentional way to teach peace and develop lessons on it, King moved me, but also Gandhi, because the story where he went away when he was so distressed about the violence, and he went away and meditated and fasted for a long time and said, "I can't live this way anymore." And I know many of us feel this way. What is wrong? Why do we have so much violence? So he came out from that fasting and that prayer time, and he said, "I've got it. Violence will end where love begins." And that's always stuck in me. How can we go about loving? And I haven't got it yet, but I think one of the places it starts is in ourself. So if you would feel comfortable and you want to stand up for a minute, I invite you to stand up and do a little exercise that is going to tune in to our whole body, our mind, and our heart. So if you want to stand up. This, again, is a little exercise we've been doing at Peace Camp to kind of ground ourselves as we come together to think, okay, this is not about others, this is about me. So take a deep breath and feel your feet rooted on holy ground. And as you're standing, put your hands out if you can. And we're going to actually push down the things that are breaking our peace, that are tugging at our heart. So I want to push down the hate. So if you will feel good, you can go down. And then we want to bring up the love, all the way up, and feel it as a part of your whole body. Push down the injustice and bring up justice. Okay, does somebody have one they want to push down and get rid of? Violence. And bring up peace? Or okay. Anyone else? Fear. Bring up hope. Beautiful. Okay, so we could go on and on. Stay standing for one last little exercise. We know in order to have that happen, we have to start somewhere. And one place that peace starts is inside each of us. So as I get out of that bed every morning, I've been trying to put my 2 feet on the ground and say, I need to start this day with a little more love for myself so that I can give love. You can't give what you don't have. And maybe that's the root of some of the violence, is people don't love themselves. And they're taking it out or calling themselves out. So let's do a little fill our hearts with love. You know that song? Here we go again. All I need is love. Okay, so let's give ourselves some love. And this is like making a bubble around yourself. Don't pop it. Fill your whole being with love. And then as you bring it down, you can say, I am lovable. I am lovable. Okay, and then we'll try, I am peaceful. I am peaceful. Breathe and bring it down. Okay, anybody have one? I am, what was it? I am joyful. And breathe. Bring it down. I am grateful. And I always say, don't pop your bubble. Bring it all the way down. Last one. I am hopeful. Breathe and bring it down. Thank you for participating in that. My last thing is, you can sit down. I'd like to invite you to join a campaign. And this campaign is dedicated to Gandhi. And I've been doing it all over wherever I go to do peace circles with all ages in all places. I have a peace room in DC in a neighborhood right off North Capitol and M Street. Jerry and I have been there for 20 plus years, and we started the campaign because there's been a lot of despair, loss of hope, and violence. So what we'd like to do is fill this world with love, and I hope you all, if you didn't, you can raise your hand, and Jason and Savannah will give you 2 hearts. And you might say, well, good, I've got 2 people to give it away to, but we want you to give yourself some love today. So keep one of those hearts and maybe put it in your journal, in your, maybe on your fridge, someplace where you can remind yourself that you are lovable, capable, and beautiful. I've been saying bold, brave, and beautiful. And as you ground yourself in that nonviolent love, that love of justice for our world, take that other heart and give it to somebody who needs love, who maybe is hard to love, who you've been having that struggle with. That is that radical love that we want to spread and change this world to make it, and Jerry's going to put up the transformation. Just think if we can transform this world and bring the beauty of love to the brokenness and heal this world. I've been singing lately, all we need is love. Love is all we need. Remember, I told you I can't sing, but I've been trying to think that's what would make this world a better place. So let's put our heart up, and this is my last message, that we want to make love grow. As we plant our spring seeds, let's think, look inside that heart, see yourself, and now see someone who needs love, and we're going to make it grow. Love grows 1 by 1, 2 by 2, and 4 by 4. Love grows round like a circle and comes back knocking at your front door. So have fun this Valentine's Day, giving love to yourself, giving love to someone else, and we will ride this peace train, and we'll all be smiling, because peace will come. Thank you.
there is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace. There is more love. There is more love somewhere.
Friends, I invite you now into a time of prayer and meditation. We are already filled up with love and hope and peace bubbling around us, bubbling among us. In this moment, and as Lori sings Spirit of Life, Fuente de Amor, into our space and into our hearts, I invite you to open your heart just a little more, to name those who need your love and those who give you love. May it be so. Amen.
Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón, cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube el mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our reading this morning was crafted by Reverend Teresa Soto. She's a colleague of mine and Amanda's. To the people who have mistaken freedom for liberation, with thanks, from Revalila Sinha. The poem. To be free. To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know, not that you can do whatever you want. You're not a kudzu vine eating entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. No. You must know instead that inside you our entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, ever expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes that are inside everyone else. You see, being free is not a license. Being free is a promise. The words of Reverend Teresa Soto.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you so much, MJ and Jerry, and to our musicians, to Lori and Sophia, and to Eddie and Eduardo. It is a real treat to have you with us today. I want to make sure folks take notice of the music notes that were created by our musicians for us, which I think will enhance your experience of their music even more. They are quite beautiful and brought them into the space even before their music started to fill our sanctuary. So thank you so much. So it is Valentine's Day tomorrow. Valentine's Day was actually not a holiday traditionally that I have particularly liked. All that pressure, all those high prices at restaurants for one night, the exclusionary feel of it being for those of us who have Valentines. But that began to change when I had children of my own. When the day became much more about saying I love you to lots of people, about making kids' cards for those shoe boxes, making sure every child in the class had one, Aiden B and Aiden R, a low-key dinner out or ordered in these days from our favorite neighborhood place. A shift from the pressure of romantic love, Hallmark style, to family love. And of course, romantic love or family love are just a couple of the kinds of love we might imagine. In fact, the Greeks had many words for love: phileo, platonic love; eros, romantic or sexual love; storge, the family love; and agape. Early Christians picked up on those categories and sought to live with agape love in their fellowships and communities. In the Gospel according to John, one of the books in the New Testament that describes the story of Jesus' life and death, Jesus says to his disciples, "I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Agape love. Agape takes love from being not just about two people, but an organizing idea, a way of understanding what it is to be in community together. The King Institute at Stanford University says this: for Martin Luther King, the concept of agape stood at the center of both his spiritual belief in a knowable God and his assertion that love and nonviolence were essential in remedying America's race problems. He defined agape as, these are King's words, purely spontaneous, unmotivated, groundless, and creative. It is the love of God operating in the human heart, end quote. For King, love was part of the organizing principle, not just of being in community, but of justice work. the backbone, the impulse to change the world. A far cry from chocolate and roses. Love was required for showing up to act for justice, and love required it. Of course, King is not the only one to tie together the ideas of love and justice. You are perhaps familiar with an oft-quoted line from Dr. Cornel West. Justice is what love looks like in public. Takim Williams, writing in 2017 for the Human Trafficking Institute, gave some more context to that particular quote from Dr. West. Here's the whole quote. Justice is what love looks like in public, just like tenderness is what love feels like in private, said Dr. Cornel West, professor of philosophy at Union Theological Seminary and professor emeritus at Princeton University. Williams goes on, the provocative Black intellectual has said this on more than one occasion. However, it was during his speech at Howard University in April 2011 when West had the time and freedom to situate his well-known quote within a broader message. His message in a nutshell, it's not about you. West's subject matter, Williams writes, was Black hardship in America, yet his broader point was that greed and selfishness, which are the root of exploitation, ought to be replaced with, quote, unarmed truth and unapologetic love, end quote. Unarmed truth and unapologetic love, it's not about you. If that is not a corrective to over-commercialized Valentine's Day, I don't know what is. It's not about you. In fact, it is about us. All of us. The poem used as our reading this morning from our colleague Teresa Soto, I think my favorite thing about this poem is its title. To the people who have mistaken freedom for liberation. Because we do sometimes, don't we? I think sometimes, perhaps we Unitarian Universalists especially, the fourth of our 7, and here in this congregation, 8 Unitarian Universalist principles is the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And we are sometimes really into the free part. And why wouldn't we be, right? Some of us come from other religious traditions where the dogma we grew up with no longer fits with our understanding of the world. Some of us were harmed by those traditions. Perhaps they told us we were not worthy just as we are. The freedom to believe within Unitarian Universalism is a precious freedom, one that allows us to be called by our own heart. That freedom is beautiful, and for many of us, it is transformative to find a community where we can believe as we are called. And that's not enough. Maybe the next part is embedded in the responsible part of free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Don't forget that word. Or maybe it's found in our 7th principle, the interdependent web of life of which we are all a part. Or maybe it's found in our 8th, a commitment to building the beloved community. Or maybe it is just part of our understanding of ourselves as a radically connected human family. But somewhere in there has to be an understanding that personal freedom of belief, of movement, of bodily autonomy is perhaps a beginning, but certainly not the end. There is another Teresa Soto quote that has been a touchstone for me for several years. All of us need all of us to make it. I've quoted that at UUCA before, I know, and I can't promise you won't hear it again someday. All of us need all of us to make it. We need each other if we're going to make it. Can't do it alone. And we all need to make it, or none of us have really made it, right? This is the core idea behind the concept, the movement of collective liberation. Now, collective liberation is a theological concept, a justice concept, an organizing principle. It is at the heart of the work of the Unitarian Universalist Association's Commission on Institutional Change and their Widening the Circle of Concern report. And it is at the core of our work together as a faith movement. But what does it mean, really, right? Infleshed, which is an amazing online resource of liturgy and poetry for collective liberation. Again, it's called Infleshed. I highly encourage you to check it out, just gorgeous. Infleshed says it this way: collective liberation is the sought outcome of what Micah Bazant says so well, that there can be no pride for some of us without liberation for all of us. It is what we hope for, strive for, aim towards with our lives and spirits and resources. It is the eschatology for a theology that claims all life is entangled, inseparable, permeable, eternally woven together. It rejects individualism, celebrates collaboration, and acknowledges the difficulty of the fact that we need each other. It is more than inclusion, tolerance, or representation. It's an altogether different paradigm. I got a little in my head as I tried to write this sermon about collective liberation. I started bringing home books from my bookshelf. You know that's when it gets bad, when I'm in the office and I think, oh, I need this one. I'll read this one. I'll read this one again. I bought this one 3 years ago. I never did read it, but I'm going to read it for this sermon. I had this idea that I needed to share with you all of the theological background of collective liberation, and let me tell you, there is a lot. That I needed to give some kind of, I don't know, academic treatise. Well, good news, I'm not an academic. I got myself wound up, and luckily I told a friend I was working on this and about my worry that I had approximately 7 books to read before I could even get a first word down on paper. She cut to the chase. She said, just tell the congregation that we don't do anti-racism work to be nice. We do it because it's good for everyone. There you go. It's good for everyone. Good as in essential, as in racism and every other oppression that divides us from each other, that puts some on top and others on the bottom, that privileges some and creates power over instead of power with. Racism hurts every single one of us. It twists what it means to be human and harms the human impulse toward love. And so working against racism, being actively anti-racist, especially for those of us who identify as white, isn't about doing something nice for other people. We aren't going to get anywhere if that's how we hold it in our heart. It's about saving ourselves, about, as UU activist Chris Crass puts it, getting us all free. My first understanding of that for me came in seminary, reading the beautiful little Howard Thurman book, Jesus and the Disinherited. I recommend that to you as well. And I wanted to quote from it for this sermon. I looked on my bookshelf for it, in fact, and I remembered I had given it away to someone I thought could use it, which I guess is better than the dog ate my homework, but these words from Nelson Mandela, the South African anti-apartheid fighter and Nobel Peace Prize winner, say some of what I remember finding in Thurman's book those years ago. This is from Mandela's book, Long Walk to Freedom. It was during those long and lonely years that my hunger for the freedom of my own people became a hunger for the freedom of all people, white and black. I knew as well as I knew anything that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. Robbed of their humanity. Collective liberation is about returning our humanity. It is also quite literally about freedom of belief, of movement, of bodily autonomy and safety, of survival for the part of humanity that is within our systems of power and privilege currently disempowered, at risk, traumatized, and killed by those systems. In our thinking about our shared humanity, about that impulse at the heart of collective liberation, I don't want to gloss over the very real effect of those systems on Black and brown bodies, on queer bodies, on women, on religious minorities, the work for the literal safety and survival of people marginalized by our systems of power and oppression has to be at the center. And collective liberation is also about all of us. All of us need all of us to make it. It is, I think, about reclaiming the humanity that we share, the humanity that tells us that those systems of oppression are not only wrong, but they are twisted, a perversion of the agape love that is the foundation of community. So, love. It is Valentine's Day tomorrow. And what I hope is that however you celebrate it, and 3 cheers if that celebration includes chocolate. I mean, I'm not knocking chocolate. I hope you remember that love is a lot bigger than what Hallmark would tell us. I hope that tomorrow you think about this tradition we share, this Unitarian Universalist movement. And remember that it can be about love, agape love, collective liberation love, about everyone as part of a human family love, about breaking down systems of oppression love, that kind of love. At the Methodist seminary I attended, people often talked about the biblical phrase that we would know them by their fruits. That is, that people would know that they were Christian by the way they treated people, by their kindness maybe. I hope that we might be known by our fruits here at UUCA. I believe we can be, that we can be known as the congregation that understands that love is as broad and big as the human family, that love comes in all shades and sizes and genders and colors, and that Unitarian Universalism is not just about freedom of belief, but about the liberation of all people, about the collective liberation that gets all of us free. and that reminds us that we belong to each other. That reminds us of what our hearts surely already know. Megan Foley, our colleague who serves the Unitarian Universalist Association, created a responsive reading using that phrase, all of us need all of us to make it. I want to invite you into that today, and if you're watching from home, I hope you'll say it out loud too. Or it's not in your program. It's not in your, that's all you need to say. All of us need all of us to make it. Do you want to put your programs down? Okay. I want you to get used to those words, writes Megan Foley. Make them your prayer. All of us need all of us to make it. This is why Unitarian Universalists support the Black Lives Matter movement. Please take a moment to center the struggle for Black lives in your thoughts. Say it with me, loud or soft. All of us need all of us to make it. In a world where some of us are targeted for struggle and brutality, where others of us benefit and flourish, we pray. All of us need all of us to make it. In a world where powerful people of ill will and indifference make us fearful for our safety and our futures, we pray. All of us need all of us to make it. In the excruciating space that lives between seeing and naming and hearing and changing, we pray. All of us need all of us to make it. Make a picture in your mind of someone you aren't very happy with right now. Look at their face in your mind and pray. All of us need all of us to make it. Unitarian Universalists believe that all of us need all of us to make it. This is why we are in solidarity with the movement for Black lives and the goal of collective liberation today and every day. All of us need all of us to make it.
What a blessing. We should clap again. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you both so much. This is a congregation that gives. We give from the heart. We give as much as we can. In February, 70% of our offering will be given to the Little Friends for Peace. Little Friends for Peace welcomes youth and adults to experience, to learn, and to actually practice peace through a variety of peace education programs. They believe that peace education enriches our communities by bringing social, emotional learning directly into people's lives. Little Friends for Peace also believes that all people can create homes and classrooms and teams and workplaces and lives where everyone gives, everyone gains, and everyone wins. There are many ways to pledge or to donate to UUCA. If you visit our website, you'll find out you can give by text, by mailing a check directly to the church. What's important is that you do give. As you're making your donations, please remember 30% of your funds goes to the continuing operation of UUCA, but that 70% in February is earmarked for the Little Friends of Peace. I ask that you give accordingly and actually stretch yourself and give a little bit more. Will the ushers please take an offering? If any of you all are lost this morning, you should now be found. Will ushers bring the offering forward? Please join me in these words to bless our offering. We bless and receive these gifts, opening our hearts to true generosity in one voice. Let us be grateful when we give, be it time, talent, or treasure, for giving brings us joy. Let us be grateful for our needs and the experience of vulnerability, for they teach us how to receive in community and love. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts to nurture this congregation, for it is a blessing to make a difference together. Amen.
Now listen, y'all, I know we're running long, but we have Holly Carr to just tell us a little story, to tell us a little bit about UUCA as part of the testimonials we have been honored to hear over the last couple of months during our capital campaign. So I'm going to ask Holly to share because I think it'll be worth it. Thanks.
Good morning. It's really great to be with you in person this morning and with those online. And good to see some of those I Gave campaign pins with our beautiful chalice of stained glass. I was asked to share with you why I have given to UUCA's capital campaign. And I thought about this quite a bit in the weeks since I was asked to share. Honestly, the reason I give keeps coming back to me in the images of Kitty Mills and Al O'Rourke and Sue Hunter and Tom Moran. These are a few of the many, many adults from my home church, Central Presbyterian in Lafayette, Indiana, who showed me over and over again that I was a person who mattered in the world. Kitty and her husband Dick were my youth group advisors in junior high, meeting with our group of 20 or so youth every Wednesday night for years. I honestly don't remember anything we talked about during those Wednesday evenings, which included supper and Bible study and choir and crafts. I do remember that they talked with us not like children, but like equals, people they were absolutely thrilled to see every week. Wednesday night crafts, led by Tom Moran, was really more industrial arts in our 150-year-old church basement filled with all manner of saws and sanders and tools. Down there, Tom trusted us with this dangerous equipment, and we carried beautiful things back up the stairs. Wooden stools, hammered brass trays, lamps. Al O'Rourke was an older sage of our church who pulled me aside and gave me book recommendations, which actually set me on a path of questioning literal interpretations of the Bible and eventually to Unitarian Universalism. Sue Hunter sat with her two sons up in the balcony with our family every Sunday. And for decades after I left Lafayette, when I would come home to visit and attend church, Sue would rush over and hug me after service, asking about my life in college or out in Seattle or here in Washington, D.C., always keeping tabs on me. These are the people who contributed to the strong foundations of my young life, and they are largely the reason I try to pay it forward at UUCA. I joined UUCA in the hope of re-engaging with a community like Central. My theology is a bit different now, or maybe it's not, who knows. But I still seek a community of care and intellectual curiosity. I teach RE hoping that I can create a space for community for our youth, a place that is not school or sports teams, where our kids feel supported and loved, and respected, like I did 40 years ago. I'm enormously grateful to have found some of my closest friends here at this church. They're friends who challenge me, they challenge my thinking, and they enrich my life immeasurably. I give to the Capital Campaign with these people and these hopes in mind. I want the church to be even more engaged in our community, spending our precious funds not on debt service to construction loans, but on walking the talk, helping those in need, and preparing our youth to face the challenges that surely await them. If you have your own Central Presbyterian in your life, or simply share a vision of UECA living more fully into our UU principles, please consider giving to the Capital Campaign and paying it forward. Thanks.
Holly, thank you so much for inviting us into your heart and your journey. I have been told that in the before times, there was a tradition here at UUCA of standing for the benediction and holding hands. Now, it's not the before times. But here's what I want to invite you to do. I want to invite you to stand as you are able in body and in spirit. If you're here with a pod, go ahead and take their hand. You're already sharing your germs. And then put your hands out like this. The yoga teacher I follow sometimes says to have the energy extend out when I'm in warrior one, then I fall over, So have the energy extend out. Out to every person in this room. Out to a whole lot of rooms watching from home. Out to the world. Because all of us need all of us to make it. Amen.
you.